and I've got every copy of that through my friend. Let me give Tom Burke. Anybody who's a historian might know Tom Burke. Tom Burke, I met. He's from Massachusetts. I met him 35 years ago. He turned up in England, and me and him have been in, always. He sends me old British programs, and I try and catch him out sometimes. I'll go, "You haven't got a picture of the Wild Man of Borneo, have you?" And he sends me like 6 pictures and stuff. He's got incredible collection. But I started getting these ring wrestling magazines. Well, then I and it was every so often I could get one, or I think I'm trying to think, it was definitely the Rings Wrestling magazine, and there was one or two others. And then it had a list of all the different what was going on, or in their world, I believe it's called the Apter Mag world now, because I know I'm friends with Bill, but in his world, and I always say, like, that's the only things that I cared about. It's not that I cared about being in, but that's the stuff you want to be in. You don't want to be in the other stuff, because the other stuff's usually criticizing you or knocking you,
Right.
whereas those magazines are telling stories about you
Yeah.
and put you over as the character. So, but again, I'm from a different day and age. So I started seeing them. Well, I learned all about, oh, there's all these places. And I knew about there was wrestling in America, because I knew of different wrestlers that had been, or heard about Billy Robinson, heard about Tony Charles, knew that wrestlers went to Japan because of listening to the commentary on British wrestling. Because if somebody came back from somewhere, they would talk. Kent Walton, who was the announcer, would talk about, oh, this man's just been to Calgary. This man's just he's been wrestling in America. Oh, so that was getting put into my head from listening. Most of my wrestling education came from Kent Walton, the commentator on what is now considered World of Sport. And he'd mention where people had been, or he'd mention somebody had wrestled somebody in Japan, or so you knew about a wrestling world outside of it. But and then there was the Wrestler magazine that I have copies of, had shut down before I sort of can remember. So I didn't know about that till after I was already a wrestler. Then I managed to get all of the copies from Tom Burke.
So, like a lot
There
of
was
us, you learned about a lot of American wrestling through wrestling magazines,
Right.
right? And
That's what I did. I got to know about wrestling, but I hadn't seen any.
right.
So I knew a little bit, and I could get the occasional magazine.